Welcome, DC fans, to episode 193 of the DC Comics News podcast. I am your kind of co-host, Brad Flicky, and with me is the one, the only, the Geekopedia himself, Steve J. Ray. Steve, how you doing today?
I'm good. We are the Hat Bros.
Yeah, it's winter. It's winter. So going from baseball hats to beanies. So yeah.
Well, it's meant to be officially spring now, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah. It's rainy here today, but at least it's not snow. So getting there. So we're going to talk all things DC, movie, TV streaming, comics, and anything else that may pop up. We'll just jump right into it. It's been a big week for Superman news. We got
we
got a picture of the cast saying that filming had started. We got a view of the new S logo, and we got a new name. It's not going to be called Superman Legacy anymore. It's just going to be called Superman. And we also got to know who is going to be Perry White in the movie. So let's just jump right into it. What do you think of all this news? What do you think of the picture and the new logo and the new title?
I don't know what it is, but just something about that title, Superman, for me adds power. It just makes it stronger. I don't know if that's just me or what. I just think that Superman is better than Superman Legacy. Obviously, the irony is, and this is a discussion you and I have had, is that there are so many characters in this film that how will that actually work? Maybe Superman Legacy was better, but I just love the title change. I think it's stronger. I think it's more meaningful and more impactful. The new logo, well, it's hardly new. It's the old Kingdom Come Superman chest emblem, isn't it? And the CW did it with Brandon Routh's Superman in their version of the Crisis on Infinite Earth. So I do like the style of it. It's sleeker. It's different. People are already complaining about it, but people will complain about everything until the end of time. So let them. Personally, I love it. The close-up shot we got of it with the snow around it and the cross-stitching makes me think, oh, are they going comic book Man of Steel route that Mark Kent stitched this for him? And if that's the case, love it. So much good news. And obviously Wendell Pierce, this guy's career goes back decades. One of the most beloved and well-known character actors on TV and in filming. I think the first place I saw him might have been The Money Pit with Tom Hanks way back in the day, and obviously stuff like The Wire. All in all, fantastic news. The cast photo's great. They've started filming on Superman's birthday of all days, February 29th. I couldn't be happier. I could not be happier. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, the logo. Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can do with the Superman logo. That's one of the things that makes it so iconic. So I think I think it looks great. I think the snow might be something very significant in relation to the plot of the movie. Maybe a lot of hanging out at the Fortress of Solitude, maybe. So to me, it was almost like the snow was more interesting than the S. But I like that you pointed out that it was Kingdom Come, because that also makes me wonder what James Gunn is in store. Did he like Kingdom Come? Did he just like the design, or does he have other things in mind? The title, it kind of reminded me of the scene in Social Network when Justin Timberlake says, "Just call it Facebook. Drop the the. It's cleaner." Maybe that's just why.
Absolutely,
I wonder why. I'm just curious why they would make that change, but it's interesting. Loved the photo. I think that everybody looks like they're happy and having fun, and that's something that's going to be very important as we go along. And like we were saying, and you just said, there's so many characters. In fact, I was talking to a friend, who's who. He was asking me, so I had to break down, and there was a few that I had to actually check on. But it's moving, it's filming, and that's good. And you pointed out that was probably not an accident. They wanted to start filming on Superman's actual birthday, and finally, Wendell Pierce, probably one of the most recognizable character actors. He's definitely one of that guy. That they say, oh, I saw that guy in that thing. That he's definitely that. But but like you say, he goes back decades. Money Pit, Wire, Power. There's just so much. You definitely would recognize him if you see him. I think he's a great choice. He's kind of got the authority like Lawrence Fishburne kind of had. And I think that it's going to be tricky using him more because we have this movie so jam-packed full of characters. So we'll see. I almost hope that he gets more screen time and maybe some of those heroes that he's introducing get a little bit less so we can see them in further movies, like a little introduction. So it doesn't get too cluttered with heroes and who's doing what. But I think overall this is great. It's come together. It's coming together fast. James Gunn seems to know what he wants to do and how he wants to do it, and can do it quickly. So I at this point I can't wait for the first footage. That'll be just absolutely incredible. I'm thrilled.
And a full costume shot hopefully soon as well.
Yes. Oh, and that's another thing too. Why would people complain about that logo? The internet is just horrible.
As I keep saying and keep signaling, fans.
Anyway, kind of fun piece of news. If you read the Jurassic League comics that came out a couple years ago at this point, I think it's going to be an animated movie. So we're going to get to see the Justice League as dinosaurs. So, Steve, you think this is going to be fun? You think it's going to be cheesy? What do you make of this?
Both, but in a good way, because that's what the comic book was. It was ridiculous, but it was so much fun. I mean, seeing Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Darkseid, of all characters, as dinosaurs, and the Joker, I just thought, this is the dumbest thing I've ever read, but I don't think I've ever had more fun reading a comic in ages. So, I mean, it's perfect fodder for an animated movie. I mean, the question is, because there are a few serious moments, and obviously with dinosaurs fighting, it's going to be quite graphic in places, but are they going to do it like the comic? Are they going to gear it more towards kids? There's so many ways it could go, but brilliant. I mean, so different from everything else we've seen. So if this is the case and they do make it, I'll watch it. That's all I can say. DC animation, #1. So yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, different though, eh?
Yeah. DC, and this is not just because we're on a DC podcast, but DC's animated films are absolutely top notch. They can't be touched. I mean, others have tried and just gave up, but DC is top notch. So that makes me trust this. But yeah, me, because I don't have kids, I would kind of prefer it to be a little more grittier and funny like the comic. But then there's part of me that if they play this right and they do it more aimed at kids, this could be a whole series, like the Batmobile series or Batwheel series and things like that. So I'm kind of torn on what I want it to be. But yeah, I'm excited. And I kind of don't have to worry about the quality because it's DC animation, and they very rarely, if ever, make false moves. And that's one thing that I can definitely say with confidence. It's another notch in the good time to be a DC fan. Because one of the reasons that is because of their animated films. So yeah, I'm all for it. Here's another little bit of interesting news. We heard that Robert Downey Jr. met with Christopher Nolan about playing Scarecrow in Batman Begins. What do you think of this?
Oof, it's another one of those great what if parallel universe moments, isn't it? Because, I mean, whatever else you may say, the man is a stellar actor, one of the very best there is. And I think he would have killed it, but then again, that goes without saying, because when has he ever not been brilliant in any role he's played? Obviously, again, but not taking away from Cillian Murphy, because he was fantastic and he made the role his own throughout the three movies. So it's just one of those really weird what could have been moments. But let's also remember that if he had taken the role, if Christopher Nolan had been interested, because this is a very funny piece, but it seems like Christopher Nolan wasn't even listening to him. He may never have been Iron Man, and then the world would have been a much poorer place indeed. So it's win some, lose some. He would have been great, and he would have appeared more, and maybe, who knows, Scarecrow could have become an even bigger villain in the movies than he was. So just a great, interesting story, and something else I hadn't heard of until this very moment when we saw it online. So yeah, fascinating. I mean, what did you make of the whole thing? It could have been quite interesting, right?
Yeah, it could have been. I couldn't imagine, though, anybody else playing Tony Stark. He was born to play that role. So I am almost glad he didn't take the role if it would have somehow affected him being able to play Iron Man. Now, I know that Batman came out, 2005, I believe Batman Begins came out, which was, years before Iron Man and everything. But I think that Hollywood productions like that, they go a lot slower sometimes than people realize. So that could have been in the cards before that point. And I think the sacrifice would have been worth it. But you brought up a good point that had he gotten the role, he may have done something with it that would have made Christopher Nolan use him more in the other movies. But then maybe we wouldn't have the Joker in the same way that he's become so iconic from The Dark Knight. So it's one of those things where in the end, everything turns out the way it should. You just got to kind of trust the universe. And and Cillian Murphy was great as Scarecrow anyway. And speaking of both of them, they're up for Oscars in the same movie this year. So we'll see. Kind of looks like a lot of people are saying that Robert Downey Jr. is a shoo-in for supporting actor for Oppenheimer, but we'll see. And moving on to some TV news, we heard that The Penguin has finished filming. So we might be seeing that pretty soon, relatively. What do you think of this?
You know how I feel about this whole franchise. You know how I feel about the casting, the entire Matt Reeves, the Batman universe. Colin Farrell was simply incredible in the Batman as Oswald Cobblepot. So for him to have his own show that revolves around the character of Cobblepot, around his performance, is absolutely something I'm dying to see. And the fact it's wrapped filming, so it's going into post-production. Like you say, we were thinking that the first thing we'd see out of DC in live action this year would be, actually not even live action, on TV would be the Creature Commandos, and that's not coming out till the fall. I'm very hopeful maybe we might see this before then, but that's just wishful thinking from a ultra bat nerd and fan that really wants a bit more DC TV and movies this year, which sadly doesn't look like we're going to get a lot of. But now we know we're only a year and a half away from Superman as well. I'm just going to have to be patient and wait. But this Penguin show, yeah, really looking forward to it. And it's finished. It's finished filming. Yes.
Yeah, I just wonder how long it takes to get everything finished once things start, get wrapped up with filming. Maybe they have the first couple episodes in the can because it shoots differently than movies because they know they have to get the first episodes out first. So it would be great to get this like late summer, late July, early August, something like that, and then have Creature Commandos and Joker in the fall. So we'll see. Or it could just be a really jam-packed fall with Penguin, Creature Commandos, and Joker. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, when we first started talking about this, it was one of those things where I was thinking to myself, well, I'll believe it when I see it, because we've seen so many cool projects get announced and fall through.
Batgirl, the Gotham Central TV show, yeah,
all that stuff. So I always try to take that kind of news with a grain of salt. But we're here and it's coming, and I can't wait to see Colin Farrell more in that role. He was incredible, and he didn't get that much screen time in the movie. So it's going to be great to see him kind of stretch his legs. So yeah, I can't wait. I'm really excited. And something else that I'm sure that you will love, last bit of TV news, is that we are going to get to see Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy one more time as the Joker and Batman in Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. So I'm sure you're excited about this.
My friend, this is the kind of news that makes it worth getting up in the morning. Probably my favourite bit of news in months. Since Kevin passed, which I took very badly, and it's a show that I watched with Adam, my offspring, since they were little, and it's the show we have our podcast on, I Am the Night, on this network. So after the horrific way Batman was treated in the recent Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League game, I thought, please, Lord, do not let this be his final performance, because that would have just been horrible. But to hear that he did record with Mark for Crisis 3, and they will appear as Batman and Joker, the Batman and Joker, as far as I'm concerned, and probably millions of others around the world. Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1 blew my mind. Fantastic film. I cannot wait to see 2 and 3. But this will be the icing on the cake for me, to see these two legends reunited as the characters that they performed better than anyone else in history. Again, just my opinion. Man, yeah, I could not be happier. I cannot wait. And these are probably films, now that I've heard that I will actually buy physical media of rather than just watch digitally, because it's Kevin and it's Mark. And hey, maybe that's one more reason to add that to our I Am the Night podcast list. That's all the excuse I need, Mark and Kevin. What about you?
Yeah, I'm so glad that he was able to record for this. It was such a loss to Batman fans, to comic fans, to animation fans. I mean, everybody knew Kevin Conroy. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if you took a poll who was the best Batman. Kevin Conroy would come on top above anybody.
It's my vote.
Yeah, so it's great that we're going to get to see him one time. He was such a good soul, and it's just and Mark Hamill is always great as the Joker, and it's kind of good to get that closure too, because Mark Hamill has come out and said that he won't play the Joker again without Kevin. So without Kevin be there, he's not going to be the Joker. So now we get both of them one last time. And it's in such an important story in DC lore. It's just, I think it's just a perfect way to go out. And like we said, the DC animation is the best. So, I can't think of a better way to wrap up Kevin Conroy's legacy of playing Batman than on a Crisis on Infinite Earths film. So, yeah, absolutely. It's great. I hope they do a little tribute. And you were saying that you'll get this on physical media. I'd be interested to see if they do any tribute to him as like a bonus feature on this. I'm sure that they would. DC, if
anyone deserves it.
Yeah. If there's a comic Hall of Fame, he would definitely be in it. And speaking of comics, we're going to move on to some comic book news. We got an interview with Nicole Maines on the character of Dreamer and Suicide Squad Dream Team. What'd you make of this interview?
Well, I think because I think we talked about it because of the brilliant performances she gave in Supergirl, and then in all the other DC shows after Supergirl ended, that Nicole Maines is someone I've got a lot of love and a lot of respect for. She is wonderful. And when the character of Dreamer just exploded, mainly down to her performance, if we're honest, and then appeared in comics as the same character, and then Nicole started writing the comics based on the character, I just thought, this is magic. This is something truly special. This is an actress who believes so much in the character she's helped create that she wants to carry on her adventures, even though the shows that she sprung from are no more. And you've got to respect that. And now that the fact she's part of the Suicide Squad, one of the biggest teams in all of comics, in their own series, man, it's just brilliant. It's the kind of news that makes me think, I don't get where people are coming from when they say that DC Comics aren't great. Read more of them, because their output is 90% plus awesome. And when you get news like this as well, you can't argue with it. So power to you, Nicole Maines. I've been a fan since the first thing I ever saw you in, and long live Dreamer. Fantastic news. What did you make of it?
Yeah, hive mind. I think she brought so much of herself into the character, so much passion and her own experience, that it makes sense that they were allowing her not only to play the character in other shows, but to bring her to comics. Nobody else could have written that comic than her, because she brought herself into it. So, and for her to see that something that she's made her own so much to the point that she's almost the creator, to see that branch out.
But she kind of is in a way, isn't she? Yeah.
See her branch out into comics beyond the comics that she wrote as a Dreamer comic, but in the DC universe wider, it's great. It's got to be a really good sense of validation that all the work and passion that she put into that character. It's good for her. I think that she could really on the forefront of bringing those issues out, especially in the comics world, because it's something that comics hasn't dealt with, trans identity and things like that. So it's good to have her in DC bringing those issues to light. So yeah, I say good for her. And up next in the comics news, DC has announced an Absolute Power and some updates on DC's Finest. So what was your take on this?
Man, you said it. What a great time to be a DC Comics fan. These 3 sets of books. First of all, the massive crossover that's coming up next, Absolute Power, after Beast World and Amanda Waller doing what she does, and now saying that, right, superhumans, I've had enough of them, I'm going to take them out. Along with Failsafe, who's taken over the body of Bruce Wayne and the power and the not taken over the body, taken over the mindset of Zur-En-Arrh and created a clone body. So they basically are another Batman, but darker, eviler. This crossover is going to be insane. I cannot wait to read it. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Then we get DC Finest. Man, a set of trades collecting comics for new readers to pick up and see for the first time, or for seasoned veterans to grab stuff they may have missed. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, these are big fat books at a decent price, collecting some of the greatest stories ever. I mean, when you've got a Batman book collecting Batman's Year 1 and 2 and side stories in between, a book collecting the golden age appearances of Superman. Come on, I mean, fantastic. I mean, how hard is it to get the old hardcover books from the 80s and 90s now, to get them in a paperback format with matching spines that'll look gorgeous on a bookshelf? Brilliant. And then, on top of all that, some announcements finally about the Elseworlds books. I mean, we already knew that Andy Diggle was going to carry on doing a Gotham by Gaslight series, but all the other announcements as well, and the one that's got me the most excited, more stories set in Tom Taylor's Knights of Steel universe. Just sign me up, DC. Take my money. I'm all in and cannot wait. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I always like a big crossover. So I was kind of wondering, what it seems like they've been setting Amanda Waller up for something big. So it's going to be fun to see that come to fruition. This seems like it's going to be pretty heavy hitting and have a lot of impact on the DC universe at large. So yeah, I'm excited. It seems like it's one of those stories that's been building up for a while, and those are always fun. The DC Finest, I really like the stories they've chosen because they're not the necessarily typical ones. Like, I mean, Batman Year One, of course, but putting that with Batman Year Two, which is something that I always felt was a little bit underrated. I always enjoyed
Absolutely.
Batman Year Two, and it never gets talked about. So having those two together, I think, is really cool. And Wonder Woman Origins and Omens, Catwoman Lifelines, Year 1 and 2 for Batman, The Human Thunderbolt of Flash, which I've never read, and The Coming Superman. I think these books are going to be great, like, Christmas gift ideas, and I hope that this keeps going because I would like to see maybe editions with issues for whatever reason that have never been collected before. Even some things like, we always talk about the anthologies, and a lot of times the Pride anthologies get reprinted in hardback form, but a lot of those other ones don't. And it would be kind of cool if something like that comes out in this line. It's just going to be fun to watch it grow. It's always fun to watch DC how they repackage things for new readers, and like you said, it could get new readers on who haven't had a chance, or maybe collectors like me, readers like me who haven't read the stories. So because I haven't read the Flash stories, and I'm psyched for that. And Elseworlds, I've been waiting for more news. That Gotham by Gaslight series is going to be great. We're getting some more. Looks like pictures that we've seen already, but the All Winter's coming out. The World War V #1, Batman the Barbarian, which I think is going to be a fun series. So it's good to know that those are on the rise because we haven't heard a lot of news on those. So overall, I'm excited about those too. I've stepped away recently from getting books when they come out. I've been waiting, but these might be some that I really want to try to read when they're out, especially Gotham by Gaslight, things like that. So I think DC's got some really cool things on the horizon, including our last story here is that Damian Wayne is going to get his own Black Label series as Robin. Now, I think that's going to be really cool. What do you think of this?
Damian Wayne, Black Label. Enough said. That's a match made in heaven, because even though he's the youngest of the Robins, he's always been the darkest. So to have something that will allow the creative team to show a different side to Damian that won't be hampered by a PG rating just makes it more exciting. It means that the story's going to be deeper, darker. And the fact that it'll involve Dick and Babs and his mentors and everything else, it's just a match made in heaven. It's something that I think really works, and more with Damian than with the other Robins. So again, sign me up. It's a book I will want to read, and again, a book I'll probably buy physically, even though I'll get it to review. So that's all I have to say. I mean, what else can you add to that?
Yeah. Hive mind again. That's exactly what I was going to say. That if there was ever a Robin who deserves his own Black Label series, it would be Damian Wayne. It will be fun to see the writers take, hey, you can do whatever you want, and really let him explore, because Damian Wayne definitely has a dark side, and that's one of the appeals of the character overall. So I'm looking forward to this. This is another one of those things that I might have to buy as it comes out. So I'm psyched for this as well. And that wraps up our another episode of DC Comics News Podcast. Is there anything that you want to add on any of the stories, or DC in general?
Well, obviously I love them. And I will say that having read the first issues of Batman First Night and oh god, what's the other one? Oh, the one that came out this week. Dark Age, Batman Dark Age with Mike Allred. One's Black Label, one isn't, but both are. I don't know how they do it. They can retell Batman's story in a way that's still completely Batman, but in ways that are totally and utterly new. It's just brilliant. I don't know if you've managed to read any of those books yet, but again, I'm like you, and to save money, especially with what's going on in my personal life right now, I've gone to waiting for trades for most things. But when books of this quality come out, I am sorely tempted to no, it's 3 or 4 issues, buy them because they're gorgeous. In particular, First Night, the art in that book, man, oh man, is it beautiful. And to see a Golden Age Batman as created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane, but lovingly rendered with modern art by some of the best artists in the business, and that whole tie-in of historical events has just made me, again, love this character, the most versatile and most incredible of comic book characters in the way he can be used and written and drawn. Love him even more, and that's hard to believe from someone who goes around wearing Batman hats, Batman socks, Batman t-shirts, who's in his 50s and loves Batman more than anything except his own family. But comic books like this just make me really, really happy. What about yourself?
Yeah, I have peeked at those, and they're great. And I love the Superman Michael Adderett series too, so I love that they're continuing that. And Batman, I've said, like, Batman is just like an excuse to print money. Batman is so popular, and that popularity is not going anywhere. There's been a lot of talk of superhero fatigue when it comes to movies and things like that, but the one thing that it's immune to all of that really is Batman. I mean, there's just no character in popular culture quite like Batman. And I go back to the Teen Titans Go to the Movies, when they make the utility belt the movie. And I think that Batman is so popular that you could probably do that. I mean, you have an animated movie starring the Batmobile, or TV series starring that movie. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you can't beat what Batman and
dude, you've got 3 seasons of an Alfred Pennyworth show. Who knew? Because when I heard about that, I thought, really? And I loved it.
Yep. And that's one thing great about DC, is that they're not afraid to let writers and artists do their thing with the characters in a way that's kind of outside continuity and things like that. And because of that, we get some, as much as I'm a sucker for continuity, because I like things to have stakes and a broader big story event, so I love continuity. But these stories outside of continuities have been so amazing, and there's nothing in comics quite like a well-told Batman story. So yeah, I'm with you on liking what's going on with Batman. So, all right, and with that, we can say goodbye for another episode. Steve, where can people find you if they want to follow you on social media, read your writing?
If they want to do such a thing, then thank you. I really appreciate it. Go to Google, type in Steve J. Ray or Fantastic Universes, and that'll take you across all my features, news, reviews, and interviews across DC Comics News, Dark Knight News, and my own baby, Fantastic Universes. Catch my voice with Brad most weeks on this most wonderful of all shows, and on I Am the Night with my offspring, where we break down every episode, and soon the last 3 animated movies from Batman, the animated series. And that's where you'll find me. On social media, just type in Stevo, EL_STEEVO into X, so you can excrete all you like at me. Just don't throw it as well, because I'm not into that. But Brad, where can the universe find you?
Find me writing news reviews for DC Comics News, the occasional review for Merc with the Movie Blog. Find me on This Good Podcast, sometimes on the Eye of the Night. There's been a few episodes that I popped in on. So, and you can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, FlickyB1, but I do not a big fan of Twitter, so I don't post a lot. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And with that, we'll wrap up another episode. You can find DC Comics News on all socials, just capital D, capital C, capital C, Comics News. And we'd like to remind our listeners to do something every week, and that is to read
more comics. They're the best.
Yes, they are.